this is Lori from Smoosh Paper Art, and this is a video for September 2015 Halloween party. We are going to be making this wonderful watercolor piece today, along with this treat sack that has gussets on the side so that you can get more candy in. Oh, just lost part of my candy. That's important, you know, getting more candy inside. So let's start with the treat bag, the gusseted treat bag. I've cut my paper already to 7 1/4 by 12, and it's 7 1/4 because I want my finished bag to be 4 1/4 across. So I've added 3 inches to what I want my bag to be, because you need 1.5 inches on each side to make the gussets. So I'm going to start with my scoring. I'm going to score at 1/2 inch, 1 inch, and 1.5 inches. And I'm going to do the exact same thing on this side. I'm going to score, it's actually 6 3/4 because I want 1/2 inch from the edge. Oops, just move my paper. Don't do that, hold your paper down. And then 1/2 inch, which will be 6 1/4. And then another 1/2 inch, which will be 5 3/4. So now I have my gussets scored. The next thing I'm going to do is fold this paper in half. Neatly, if at all possible. Okay. And now I only need the gussets on the top portion. I don't need them down here, so I'm going to cut them off. So I'm going to start by folding the gussets, and I'm going to fold it completely over the whole entire 1.5 inches. Then I'm going to fold it back on 1/2 inch. Looks like that. And then I'm going to fold it back on itself one last time on the last score so that it looks like this. And there's the fold. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And now I have the panels all ready to glue. And we're almost done. The only other thing to do is I went ahead and used my pinking scissors and pinked across the top of the bag. And there is the gusseted treat bag, all ready to fill with goodies and to decorate. The next thing we're going to do is make this wonderful watercolor piece. Isn't she cool? I just love her. We're going to do some smushing and some masking. So let's get to it. Okay, so you're going to need to print the image onto 90-pound watercolor paper. This is a Canson 90-pound. It should go through your printer just fine. I actually put 140 pound through my printer, and it printed beautifully, but not too long after that I had to get a new printer. So I decided it might be better to look for a watercolor paper that would work better with the printer. So this is a 90-pound Canson watercolor paper that I found that works really nicely. Okay, the next thing you're going to want to do is print the same image onto a masking paper. It works like a sticker paper, but I tried sticker paper and it doesn't work. So you're probably going to want the masking paper, and I'll have a link to that so that you can find it easily. So I printed it onto the masking paper, and I'm just going to unpeel it, or peel it, I should say, and cover my image with it. I want to protect it so that I can watercolor her later and do the background without it, oops, I didn't get that down very well, without it messing up the image. So I'm going to start with the background, and the technique for this is kind of a smooshing technique, and you don't have a lot of control over it, but I wanted a little bit more control than I might normally have. So what I did to try to do that is cut a piece of transparency the same size as the outline or the piece of paper that she's on. And I think that that's going to help me. And in fact, I know that it helped me last time. We'll see what it does this time. I'm using Distress Inks for the background, and I wanted there to be a little bit of glow around her. So I'm going to start with Scattered Straw. Okay, then I'm going to put in some tumbled glass, just kind of around the edges. Next, I'm going to go in with chipped sapphire. And some shaded lilac. All right. I'm going to slip out my image and mist this with some water. And I'm going to turn my image over and press it into the inks. Okay, I'm going to lift it off. And now you can kind of see a little bit about what she's looking like. I'm going to go ahead and dip these areas into some of it that's left there. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do is blow dry this. Okay, so now you can see what she looks like after a first smooshing and a blow dry. So now I want to continue with the process. I'm going to do the exact same thing again. First I'm going to look at my image. I would like a little bit more colors, a little bit more variation. So I'm going to add some evergreen bough. And I'm going to be turning her over like this. So I'm thinking I want some in this area, maybe some over here, maybe a little bit in the corner. And I'm even going to add a little bit of, what is this? Spun sugar. Maybe just over here on the side. And I'm thinking a little bit more of the shaded lilac. see what happens. It's always kind of a mystery. Here she is, all wet again. So I'm going to take her over and give her a blow dry. Okay, I kind of like how that looks, but if I wanted to add more, I would simply do the process again. Now, in between each dry and smooshing, I am cleaning off and starting over with a clean piece of transparency. And I'm drying it until it is perfectly warm to the touch, no coolness, because if it's still cool, then it's probably still wet. All right, the next thing I want to do is get these really cool little drops on the back, in the background. So that's really easy to do. I'm just going to take a little bit of water and get some on my fingers, and if possible, drop some on there. And this again, there's not a whole lot of control over. Just kind of be happy with where it lands. Okay, I'm going to let that sit for just a moment, and I'm going to use a piece of paper towel to blot the water dots. Okay. And when I blot it off, you can see that it takes off some of the ink and starts making the little circles. And you can also repeat this process. If you think you need a few more water drops, just go right ahead and add some more. And that's all there is to creating the background. So now we need to take off the mask, but before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and dry this one more time. All right, so I've dried it one more time, and now I'm ready to peel off the mask. This is always interesting. I'm never sure if the entire mask is going to come off or if I'm going to have a little bit of residue, but it's fairly easy to get off even if some of it's left on. So I'm peeling that off the bat. Kind of feel of it. It feels like almost all the residue's off. So I think that worked out well. And now let's go for Batty. That is her name, by the way, Batty from Tiddly Inks. Now she's all ready to watercolor. I'm using my most vivid watercolors. I'm using, for her clothes, I'm using mostly this darker purple and the darker orange here in my watercolor box. I'm going to let her clothes dry now, and I'm going to go ahead and move to her face, neck, and hand. I am using, let's see, I'm using these two colors right here for her face and her skin. going to let that dry as well. And I'm going to move on to her hair. Her hair is a combination of blues and greens. And again, I'm using the darkest ones. I'm using this really dark blue-green, really dark blue, but then I'm also using this lighter green. Okay, the bat, I used this really dark blue to give him some color other than black. Add a little bit of this dark gray underneath her feet, just to make the shadows a little bit darker. And I also want to do some little pink cheeks. So I am going to go dry her face, and then we will finish her up. And I'm just using this pink right here from my set. I'm going to dip my brush in, get some color. I'm just going to, it's going to look a little bit dark at first. That's okay. Just put a little bit of color on. And then I'm going to come back in with water and keep swirling it out. Dipping my brush in water, swirling it out. One more time. Okay, kind of like that. All right, I think she's so sweet. I just love her. It's so fun to watercolor her. And now she's ready to be either, you could frame her, you could make her into a card, or you could do what I did and enhance a treat bag. So thank you for joining me. You can find me at shooshoopaperart.com.